budgeting. Now let's talk about something that goes hand in hand with credit, and that's budgeting. Budgeting is incredibly important in all aspects of your life. It affects your financial health, obviously, but also can affect your physical health, mental health, and your ability to accomplish your life's goals. And of course, successful budgeting is a key part of building excellent credit. The first and most critical step in budgeting is to create the budget itself. The more accurate and realistic the budget is, the more helpful it will be. While budgets can be made over different time periods, I recommend making a monthly budget since that's the frequency we use to pay most of our bills. Begin with a conservative estimate of your income. By conservative, I mean don't include anything that's not guaranteed, such as bonuses or overtime. Don't include income which is sporadic and may fluctuate, such as a tax return. And leave out random sources of income such as Christmas or birthday gifts. And lastly, use your net pay, not gross pay. By this I mean the actual deposit to your bank account or the amount of your paycheck. Now move on to expenses. When it comes to expenses, guess high. This will make sure your budget works in a worst case scenario, and in better cases, we know we can save even more. It will also help keep up with constantly rising costs. The most critical part of the expense section is to list anything and everything. Here's a chart of the most common expense categories. Start with your mortgage or rent, but include any other expenses related to shelter, such as water, cable, electric, or internet. If you own a home, it should include funds for unexpected repairs or upkeep as well. Next is transportation costs, which include car payments, insurance, registration, gas, maintenance, and repairs. Now list other monthly bills such as your cell phone, credit cards, student loan payments, personal loans, etc. Then list living expenses such as food, personal hygiene products, medications, and clothing. Now move on to entertainment-related expenses. These expenses should all be discretionary, meaning they aren't things you must do or have to have. They can include shopping, dining or going out, shows, vacations, mani-pedis, or spa memberships. Another expense category is miscellaneous. This category is for everything you forgot. One-time expenses such as birthday or anniversary gifts, repair or replacement of items, traffic tickets, really anything unexpected. The final category is savings. This must be a part of your budget. A general rule of thumb is that it should be 10% of your income. That being said, I don't feel personally that rule is as important as some suggest. I feel that any amount over $50 is beneficial. If after completing a monthly budget you cannot conservatively save at least $50 a month, changes need to be made to the rest of the budget, which will either increase your income or reduce expenses. Once you've completed these steps, it's time for analysis. Ask yourself, are you happy with the results? Are you saving enough? Does the amount you're saving allow you to accomplish your short and long-term financial goals? I think goals are a very important part of creating and maintaining a budget, since they're one of the main reasons for budgeting and saving. So what are your both short-term and long-term financial goals? I think of short-term goals as being within a year or less, and long-term goals being anything over a year, but within 10 years. Budgeting beyond 10 years is largely impractical due to the many twists and turns life takes. Are your goals to pay off debts such as credit cards or a car? Is it to buy a motorcycle or save for a down payment on a house? Maybe your goal is to pay for school in cash. Set your goals as high as you want, but you must make sure they align with your budget. So now that you have some financial goals set and a budget, and your budget allows you to reach your goals, what's the next step? Well, the next step is to transition that budget into your lifestyle and to never stray away from it. Sound impossible? It's not. Here's some helpful tips. Number 1, do not make a habit of having to make payments. There's a psychological component of having debt and making payments. The more you do it, the more you'll not only accept it, but rely on it. Once you start a habit of borrowing for larger purchases, you'll almost guarantee that pattern will continue. That's because you get used to it. you come to terms with it. For instance, you associate owning a car with having a car payment, but it doesn't have to be that way. 50 years ago, our grandparents and great-grandparents only bought a car if they had the money to pay for it. They didn't have the option of getting the car today and paying for it later. Today, our society is so reliant on instant gratification. We want the car or home or even furniture today, and we're willing to pay thousands of dollars more to get it. This is because we can't or don't want to save. If we avoid debt and payments at all costs, we'll never accept taking on new debt or paying interest. Number 2, don't try to keep up with your friends. They mostly likely aren't paying cash, and you should be. I remember going to visit a friend from high school after he moved into a new house. He had renovated his home, and it was beautiful. All new furniture and flat screen TVs in every room. Of course, this was years ago when a flat screen TV was at least $1,000. I remember leaving his house thinking, wow, Johnny's doing really good these days. Several months or a year later, he came into our credit union for a loan. We pulled his credit report, and it was shocking. All the new furniture and TVs in his house I was so impressed by, he had finance. This means he not only had a mortgage, a car payment, and all the other bills that everyone has, but he also had a couch payment, then another couch payment, and 2 TV payments. This is the slippery slope that is so hard to get off of. Now his income is going more and more to payments than it is to him. This makes it harder to save. When you can't save, it makes it nearly impossible to buy things with actual cash. Therefore, if you want something in the future, it means you'll have to finance it again. The more you get used to financing and paying interest, the more you accept it's just the way it has to be. But it doesn't have to be that way. If Johnny could have created a budget and stuck to it, I would guarantee he made enough to buy those things with cash. The lesson here is the same lesson we've heard all our lives. Don't do what your friends are doing, and don't be afraid to be different. The third tip, avoid the use of debit and especially credit for everyday expenses. A lot of people would argue with me on this one. There are so many reward programs out there and so many temptations to swipe a card. For a very few individuals, they can swipe to their heart's content and not think twice about paying the bill at the end of the month. But this is very few individuals. Most of us swipe that card so easily, we lose track of how many times we swiped it and how much we swiped it for. Then when we check our bank account or get our credit card bill, we have trouble believing it's ours. This is why I tell most people, those points or rewards they're swiping so much to get aren't worth the financial hardships they cause. For everyday expenses such as groceries, gas, a cup of coffee, dinner, a video game, I recommend paying cash. This is the single biggest reason I succeed in my budget. Every Monday I withdraw my weekly allowance. The first things I spend that money on are the absolute necessities, gas and groceries. What I have left is my play money, which I can use for entertainment purposes. I know I cannot have any more money until the following Monday. I have to make that money last. And you know what? I do. I would recommend trying this strategy to anyone. It gives you that chance to really visibly see the money you're spending, and it gives you a chance to see how much you have left in your budget. It reduces the amount of time you have to spend tracking transactions in your bank account because it creates a mini bank account in your wallet or purse every week. Number 4, track your savings monthly. Did you do better or worse than your budget? If you fell below your goal, why? Do you need to change your budget, or do you just need to change your willpower? All budgets need to be reviewed at least every 2 to 3 months. Number 5, if your income goes up, it doesn't mean your spending can. If you get a raise or a new job, review your budget. Have you been meeting all your financial and physical needs? If so, this is an opportunity to save. Speaking of income, your tax refund is not an opportunity to buy a new purse, a new Xbox, or go on a shopping spree. Your tax refund is not free money. It's taxes taken out of your paycheck that belong to you. You worked all year for it, and it should be respected rather than spent in the course of a day. Lastly, contribute to your employer's 401k or other retirement plan. When considering retirement, do not count on Social Security, as your means of income, and do plan on being debt-free. Remember, budgeting and saving go hand in hand. If you cannot maintain a budget, it'll be nearly impossible to save. These tips can be helpful in maintaining your budget and achieving your saving and ultimately your financial goals. But remember, we are each unique when it comes to how we handle money. Don't be afraid to try different strategies and methods to find out what works for you. Ultimately, there's no right or wrong way to budget and save as long as you do it in a way that consistently meets your goals. Remember, the credit union is here on campus, and our sole purpose is to serve those affiliated with Daytona State College. Whether you choose to join the credit union or not, I'd love to discuss these topics in more detail and even tailor them to you. Or if you have any other banking or financial related questions, we're here to help. My contact information is listed. I wish you all great success in your future financial endeavors.